participating today?
Yeah, we're just about getting ready to start doing this, and we'll hopefully and I'll set it up. It's trying to go onto YouTube.
Participating today?
Yeah, we're just about.
Hear my voice. Hi, Leanne and Joel. As you join, we're just going to get a couple other things set up as we set up a live stream. So would you please in the chat let us know where you are joining us from?
And I just shared that with you over in Teams. So it's on YouTube.
Perfect.
All right, as we're already recording, I will get us started here officially. Hello and welcome to today's Techie Gurus webinar. My name is Christian Buckley. I'll be the moderator in today's broadcast and surfacing all of your questions to our presenter. Our session today is about decluttering your digital space, spring cleaning your inbox. Presented by Microsoft Certified Trainer, Consultant, and M365 Apps and Services MVP, Sherry Oswald, otherwise known as Shortcut Sherry. Welcome, Sherry.
Well, thank you, Christian, for having me again. I love doing these with you.
It's like our monthly get together. You know that not we already don't talk several times during the week, but well, for all of you fellow digital hoarders out there, today will be a wake up call. But before we get started, answer some of the questions. Yes, we're recording the session. We're also live streaming out to YouTube. So the 5 people that will follow me out on YouTube will see it there. The recording will be made available through the Techie Gurus website within the next couple of days. If you have questions, please use the chat or the Q&A module. Everybody should have access to both of those things. I'll do my best to interrupt because Sherry's okay with being interrupted and questions, living in the moment, asking the questions in the moment. So I will, when I find a gap there, I will pose your questions. I feel like, Sherry, for these things, we should be giving out some kind of award at the end for the best question asked. We're not prepared, folks, for that yet. But I think for these, like, we should start doing that. Some kind of swag, a sticker haul or something or other. But with that, so please ask your questions throughout. And with that, Sherry, I'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you very much. Then Christian, the fabulous Christian Buckley. If you don't follow him, he's Buckley Planet. I always like to give him a shameless plug as well. He's awesome. All right. So today, who am I? I am Sherry Oswald. I'm a recently minted Microsoft MVP, Microsoft Certified Trainer, Microsoft Office Specialist Master. They call me Shortcut Sherry. It was a joke and it stuck and I've embraced it. It's my blog, it's my Facebook, it's my Twitter or Twix or whatever we want to call it now. Feel free to reach out to me and ask questions. I want to be the new crabby office lady. If you remember her from the 90s, I kind of like her because she's a little snarky. All right. My company is Power Up Learning, and we're working together with Techie Gurus. So Techie Gurus is a community blog and resource. So feel free to check that out. But for me, I am with Power Up Learning. We don't just talk, we do. And because I teach things, I can also do things. So if you're interested in any of the displayed opportunities to work with me, feel free to reach out. All right, this is my mission statement. I always preface this because to remind myself, but also to let you know what my goal is. I like to help people with their business problems and solve them using technology and be a little bit more innovative. But hopefully it's fun and energetic and passionate as well. So those are our objectives for today. I also have 3 courses on LinkedIn Learning. If you search for me there, they're on SharePoint. A couple of them are a little bit outdated. I've asked them to let me update them, but they are not currently doing any updates. So just let you know, but still some really good stuff out there if you're interested in those classes. All right, so I'm going to go into a demo. I'm going to leave you with a little teaser here for the best kept secret of Outlook and bring up a demo environment. So a little bit of a disclaimer, our demo environments have undergone a change from the Microsoft side. And some of this, the content here is old and that's okay because I wanted it to be. And it highlights some of the issues that we have when we're dealing with our inbox. So we're going to start out first with pilers versus filers. Which one are you? Go ahead and put in the chat. Are you a piler or are you a filer? Pilers leave everything in their inbox, and filers tend to create folders where they put their stuff and tuck it away. Leanne says she's a mix of both. Me too. It all depends. Anybody else want to share whether they're a piler or a filer? Hi, Tanya. I love seeing my familiar faces here. Tanya says she's a piler. And there's no wrong answer here. However works best for you. We want to work with that within that. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the piler syndrome. The piler syndrome is you have everything in your inbox, and maybe you can or can't find things. I don't know about you, but for me, things get out of sight, out of mind, and I lose them because they've fallen down in my hundreds of emails. I had one client that had over 90,000 emails, and the reason she came to me was because she couldn't even delete things anymore. Because when you move something from the inbox to the deleted folder, it creates a little copy, and her files were so big that she couldn't even delete anything anymore because her file was full. So, being a piler is not a bad thing, but, depending on what your objective is. So why would we pile and why would we file? So filing for me are things that I want to keep for reference or for long-term objectives or projects that I'm working on, so I can put some context around my emails. And there could be some things like these monday.com things that are here. Maybe I'm not going to read them all right now, but I want to make sure that I keep track of them for later. I don't really need to delete them, but I don't really need them in my inbox. So keeping that inbox clean, I always kind of think of that metal inbox that used to sit on my desk when I used to work in HR, and everything from everybody for every part of my job all came into one place. So what would I do? I would go through it several times a day, sometimes digging through that pile of paper, trying to figure out what I need to get done. And that didn't work for me. So I was like, all right, I need to create folders. So I got out some manila folders. And I'm like, what are the things that I do in my job? And here's some of the things I might want to keep and read for later. So I always had a read later file. So if you want to create a file folder where you can just tuck things away for future and they're not messing up your inbox, right click on the inbox or any other level of your file structure over here on the left-hand side and create a new folder. I am working in the desktop version of Outlook, and everything I'm going to show you works in the desktop version of Outlook. Some of the things only work in the classic. So we still have the opportunity to change, and I'm finding I now know that some of the things that are missing out of the new Outlook they're working on. So I want to show these all to you in case they come back, even if you're in the new Outlook or the old Outlook. But this is the classic desktop Outlook. All right, so I'm going to create a new folder called monday.com. And I'm just going to start moving things into that folder. This way I can keep my inbox clean. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you how to make that a little bit easier. All right, so create folders for things that you want to save long-term. Now, as far as tasks go, pilers, the way you look at your inbox can change depending on, oops, what is that? No. The way you look at your inbox can help you if you're a piler. So sorting things from your subject line or from received or your size or your categories, that's your opportunity to kind of look at things different ways. So if I do sort it by from, then I can see it kind of groups them by who sent the email to me. The subject is by the title. So you can see Microsoft has sent me a couple of things about my subscription here. Received, this is by the date received, and this one is a toggle. It's either newest first or oldest. Okay, so you can toggle that one. You can also toggle the size. So if your inbox is getting full and you want to get rid of some of the big stuff, or where are the things that have the attachments on it because it's making it bigger, that might be another option. All right, now other things that I like to work with are the tags and flags. So you can sort your view to kind of look at it, or I'm going to just go back to by date on this one, the received date. Let's talk more about the tags, what I call tags and flags. This is where that analogy of the inbox that I had sitting on my desk, I was like, all right, I worked in HR. What were the types of things that I did in my day? I had payroll action requests. I had people that asked for time off. I had the new hire information, or I had memos, or I had, the information coming from corporate, the mail that came in the mail, actual, snail mail at the time. So how do I organize that in this digital world? Instead of having my manila folders where I would take them all out and put them in a folder and say, here's all my payroll action notices. Because if I went through my inbox and the order things appeared, number one, I'm only working with the newest stuff, and the stuff in the bottom is going to get lost. The same thing in your inbox now. Those older things are going to drop out of your radar and you're going to forget about them, and you might miss something crucial. So I'm going to invite you, first of all, to look at your inbox in a different way. So sort by the oldest to the newest and see what you've been missing if you're a piler. Or in a better way, let's look at a way that we can kind of group the things. I'm not going to pick up the first piece of paper and go, oh, that's a payroll action notice, and do that. Oh, there's a time off request, and then switch the context and go do that. And then, oh, there's another payroll action notice. Does it make more sense to group those things that are like each other so that we can get those done all at the same time, right? So how do we do that in our digital world? We use categories. How many of you are using categories? Christian says he has organized piles. So does my husband. I'm a filer. He's a piler. He can't find anything in my office. And I can't find anything in his, but God forbid I touch his piles.
Well, because I know where everything is in those piles, but yes.
Okay,
and I also use the categories. And it's the problem with categories is it's great when you do it right up front, when you have them outlined. The problem is thinking, oh, that would be a good category, and then going back through historical and organizing things. Like, I don't know if there's a best practice for that, but that's my issue.
I think kind of looking at the work analysis, what are the types of emails that you get to decide what those categories are first? And there's 25 colors. So if I were to do a new one, there are 25 different colors and that you can use across all of your Outlook content, and you can use the color more than once. So if your tasks, the color is one thing, different from your calendar's another thing, you can use the same color more than once. But for my email, for sure, this is one of the things that I like. What do I do in my job? And if you look at these, we've got there's a financial category, personal category, sales category. If you haven't used that category yet, then it's the standard red, green, blue, yellow. And back in the day, back in my early vintage, there were like 6 colored flags and you had to know what they meant for yourself. Now we can customize them, which is great. So Tanya's saying, I know the categories are there, but I don't use them well. You want them a mood ring. Christian wants a mood ring on it. That's great. All right. So figure out what those things are. What are those categories that you have? So let me kind of show you how to create them. Under categorize, all categories, you have the standard ones that are there. You can create a new one and give it a name. So maybe this one is travel that I have to do. Or I'm going to create another one of VIP client. I already have one because, I've done this before. And let's say document review. All right. So now I've got some categories for my content. All right. So we're going to use the categories to what I call tag and flag. So the tag is the category. The flags are for follow-up. This is where the magic happens for me because I need somebody to remind me the stuff that I need to do. This is how I make sure things don't fall below the radar on my inbox. When I check my email like 3 times a day, and if you've ever read the book Getting Things Done, that's kind of recommendation is group your tasks and then knock them all out at once. But if I were to go in every single time I get an email, you got mail, you got mail, you got mail. Guess what? 1980s. It's not, it's, we don't need our AOL mail anymore. Nobody's going to die if I don't check my email in my job anyway. Some jobs might be. If I don't check my email, nobody's going to die. If I go on vacation for a week, it's fine. So why do I feel the need to babysit my inbox all day long? So I always check it first thing in the morning, around lunch, because I'm one of those bad people that sits there and eats lunch and works at my desk. And then towards the end of the day to make sure I covered everything that I needed to get done and also queue up what I need to do first thing tomorrow morning. All right, so I go through my inbox and I say, okay, this is garbage. So yay, get rid of garbage. Oh, this is something I need to follow up on. And it says my flow's not running. So I'm going to do today. Now I may or may not have a category for that. And that's okay. Oh, here's another one of those Monday.com ones. Microsoft Viva. Oh, maybe I need to check on that this week because I get that weekly as a digest. All right, buy a subscription. I don't need that. So I'm just going to go through my inbox. I'm just going to select a few of these and add some categories to them. And so a few more like this. I go through them usually and add tags and flags one at a time. And so let's make these financial and follow up today. All right, so now I've got a few I did.
And Sherry, you may answer this throughout, but Lyle asked a great question.
Okay.
It says, I don't have time to go through the thousands of emails I have and clean out the inboxes of my accounts. Microsoft keeps yelling, in quotes, that my inbox, almost 10 gigs, is almost full. How do I mass archive, save space without deleting? Is there a way to save emails somewhere out of Outlook, like into OneDrive?
I do have a great option for that. Let me write that down and make sure I cover that. Okay. All right.
That goes back to like my organized piles, issue is that I have them, I know where stuff is, but I want a way to rapidly go through and clean those out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm going to show you, first of all, the self-cleaning oven. So Automagic happens. So to help you with some of that, because I'm with you. My inbox abuse is self-imposed because I sign up for a lot of webinars and different newsletters, things like that I have a ton of stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do this to myself? But some of it's really cool and I want to know about it, or that maybe it's ideas for blog posts, that type of thing, or AMAs for Christian when we do those. Like, oh, that would be a good question. All right, so I have my tags and flags, and now I'm going to change the view. So how do I work with that? I can sort it by category. Now here's all of my financial stuff I need to do. Here's all the scheduling I need to do. So the next time I come back into my inbox, when I have more email that has come in, I start from the unread view, because unread tells me here's everything I haven't tagged or flagged or deleted, right? So use the tags and flags to categorize. Now, why the flags? Why the follow-up? I see people create, some of my filers create folders over here and they're like, do today, do this week, do tomorrow. They don't automatically change. I have to move them. If I didn't get them done today, then I have to move them to the tomorrow folder. Did you know that when you flag your emails for follow-up, that you can go into your tasks view and it shows you, here's everything I need to do today, this week, and next week. And as today becomes tomorrow and tomorrow becomes next week, guess what? It automatically updates for you. And it tells you when things are overdue. This is stuff that I needed to get done already. So if they're red, I needed to get them done. Very cool. This also works with Microsoft To Do. So if you're using To Do, which you can actually access from your phone as well, your flagged emails, if you turn that on, show up in Microsoft To Do. And Microsoft To Do rolls up everything from Planner and from your inbox and your tasks. So It's an all-up view of everything you need to get done. And you can say, out of these 50 things I'm supposed to get done today, here are my top 10 and add them to my day to make sure that you get those done.
One thing I added a comment there, Sherry, that I said, I love the integration of email tasks with the to-do app because I'm a desktop and mobile to-do app user. I wish that I could integrate, that I could take things, flag them in email, and then have them show up in a planner board, like move things in between. But it does, again, you can have that integrated, my day view of all those tasks across multiple things.
Right.
For those, I'll just say, for those that aren't familiar with to-do, I mean, it already aggregates. If there's a planner board out there, there could be a dozen with tasks that have been assigned to you with your name on them, it'll show up in to-do. And so everything that people are asking you to do will show. It's just, you have to just adjust to the different lists.
And that was our webinar last month, which is available to go back and watch on Techie Gurus if you're interested.
I'll grab the link and I'll share it in the comments with everybody.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So this is what I need to get done today. Right. So in my inbox, again, tags and flags are how I make sure that I keep things categorized. I group them so that I can go out and just say, here's all the financial stuff I need to get done. Here's the scheduling. And I know Tanya will understand when I say this. She and I worked at a nonprofit together, and if I had 5 seconds on my calendar, people were booking me. And often I had people asking me for time. They're like, I need your help on things. I'm like, okay, great. And I'd start scheduling, going through my inbox in the order that they came in, and realize I gave away the last time that to somebody else, that for when there was somebody that's really, really hard to get on their calendar. So I needed to be able to see them all in one place and say, okay, I know that Joni is really hard to get on her calendar. I'm going to start with her first, and then prioritize within that grouping how I was going to schedule with that person. All right. So cool. All right. So tags and flags to keep things organized. All right. So I call that fun with flags. And if you're a Big Bang Theory fan, you'll know what I'm talking about there. All right. Let's talk about Automagic, right? I'm with you. I get hundreds of emails a day. It's ridiculous. I can't keep track of them all. Now, some of them are webinars that I may or maybe not be interested in watching. And so I have a couple of tricks for you. The first one is to create rules from your email, so that those monday.com ones that I keep getting, do I want to have to sit there constantly having to move those over? Or if I'm getting notifications from Planner, do I constantly want to have to move those over? Probably not. So I'm going to create a folder for certain categories of things that I get a lot of, right? So I'm going to go in and create, let's say, a new folder. And let's say this one is for, let's say this is webinars. All right. So here's my webinars folder. Now I could go in every single time I get an email and drag and drop it. But let's say that's what I get from Lucerne publishing events. These are webinars that are coming up. Instead of having my email manually maintaining that, I'm going to right click on this and choose a rule. So always move messages from that particular publisher. No. Okay. This is my issue with it's working offline right now because it can't connect. I'm having an issue. I don't know if you all know, but Microsoft Build is this week, and they'd love to mess with things while we're working on those. Rules. Let me see if I can do here. Nope. All right. Darn it. Okay, so rules let you pick that which emails you want to go where, and it'll say anytime it comes from this person, move it to this folder, and then you can add additional ones to it. So the webinars may not just be from this publisher; they automatically go over to the. They'll automatically, when they come in, go to the webinars folder. Now, here's my other trick with those folders. If I have not responded or registered for those webinars in like a week or two, then I wanted them to just go away because they are a moot point. I'm not going to go and keep those around forever. So here's the other option under your properties of your document folders. Under your policy, you can choose how long the content in that folder is retained. So I only want to keep these for a month. So, if I haven't registered for that webinar, probably it's already happened. If it's a month old, then I'm just going to get rid of it. And then for you, the online archive, it's like, I want to archive things that are older than, a year, 5 years, or use the parent policy folder, which in this case is the inbox, whatever folder that one has. Right. So you can set up your retention policies or your archive policies right on the folders. So this is where the self-cleaning oven comes into play. Like, all right, it's going to just delete those because obviously I didn't have the time to attend or even schedule myself for that webinar. Right. So those automatically go from the rule. They'll go to the webinars. Sorry, I can't share the rule. And then from the webinar, they go to the self-cleaning oven and they get cleaned out. How many are like, woohoo, that's great. We love self-cleaning ovens. Anybody use those before? The retention policies is one of those hidden things like people don't know that are there. Oh, okay. The other way that I manage is using quick steps. So sometimes I don't want it to automatically do that. I want a little more control over what's going on. So you can create what are called quick steps. So every time, let's say an email comes in from somebody from finance, like Isaiah, every time something comes in from Isaiah, I want it to be flagged as finance. We can set that up as a rule where it automatically does it, but sometimes it doesn't. So I've got one from here that's financial and one that's scheduling that I did manually. So if I choose, I can create a new quick step. So quick steps have some templates that you can start from, or you can create a new one. So I'm going to create a new one. Here are the standard ones, categorize and move. So that would be categorize it as a webinar and move it to the webinars folder. And then I have the flag and move. So that will do a follow-up flag, new email to. Well, every time something comes in from a certain person, maybe I want it to categorize it, flag it, and move it to a folder. There's 3 steps in there. So if you use the custom option, you can choose. So this is going to be my scheduling. Choose an action. I'm going to categorize the message as scheduling. I want to make sure that I do that, today or tomorrow. So I'm going to add a flag. So here's all of the different actions that you can apply to that quick step. So I'm going to flag the message for this week. So I get it done. And then maybe I need to move it to a folder. So I move it to a scheduling folder or something like that. You can have up to 6 steps on each one. Now set it as important, set a retention policy on that item, categorize, clear all the categories, create a task with an attachment, forward, send it, respond it, reply all, reply with meeting. All of these are different options that you have with your quick steps. Now, the difference between a quick step and a rule is rules happen automatically. When you create a quick step, this is kind of like a manual rule. Like I'm like, okay, I want to flag that one as scheduling. Let's say I go to this one, maybe that's scheduling. This one's scheduling. And so it automatically created the category and the flag. Okay. So saves you some steps in triaging your inbox. So tags and flags, automagic happens. Use your rules, use the retention policies, and use the quick steps to help you kind of streamline what your work is. All right. Now, the other one that I think people don't really realize is that I can sort in the standard view of my inbox, but there's also these other views over here on the view tab. Anybody use the other views? No hands? Yeah, Tanya's using other views. Cool. All right. Now, how can we view our inbox? We can view it by category. So here's all the ones that are categorized and the ones that haven't been categorized, but may have a follow-up flag on them. When, we can look at it by flag status. So here's the ones that have no follow-up flag or follow-up for this week or next week. So you can see they're grouped. Here's the follow-up flag. These ones are 19. These are unflagged. Okay. By start date. So here's by today, this week. So this is basically your to-do list from your inbox. If you go to your task list, that rolls up your Outlook tasks, your flagged emails, and your to-do items. Right. And then flagged by due date. All right. So check those out. Make sure. Now, if you're looking for large emails, maybe you go by size. Okay. And by date conversations, which is the default. Right. So beyond just having the sorting options, you have the views option. And this is what I do. I go from after I tag and flag my inbox, the next thing I do is like, all right, let's look at them by category. I don't use the sorting. I use the views. Okay. We have changing your view. And let me show you a couple other tricks. Searching and finding your content. It's very easy to search and find your content in the application. The search bar here at the top, they kind of changed it, especially in the new Outlook. It's a little bit clunky. So if I were to go and search for payroll, here's all the emails that have payroll either in the title or in the sender's address, that type of thing. Now we have refiners. As soon as I click in the search box, you'll see the search contextual tab shows up. Maybe I only want to see the ones that have attachments or that are unread or that are flagged or the ones I've flagged as important. Maybe I want to see the whole mailbox or only this current folder or all mailboxes. Include your deleted items, yes or no. Did I delete that on accident? Yes or no. So you can refine those searches using this. Now, here's the other option. Under Advanced Find, you can look for additional, options that are not just on these buttons. So make sure if you're really looking for something, if you have a large inbox, this might be one of the places that you look. Now, there could be a reason I want to keep my inbox clean. And this is for you that are like, I have all this old email. Maybe I don't need it anymore. Sorting it by size or sorting it by the date might not be as helpful because I'm manually every single time I have to go search or find that way for that information. Anybody using search folders? This is probably this is my best kept secret. Tanya's using search folders. Great. All right, search folders, you can do a saved search so that you can refer back to it anytime. So if I go and create a new search folder, here are some of the default criteria. So I want unread mail, or I want mail flagged for follow-up, or flagged for follow-up, or either unread or flagged for follow-up, or important email, which I've tagged as important. Mail sent to and from specific people. Then you have organized mail. So categorized, large mail, old mail, mail with attachments, mail with specific words, or you can create a custom search folder. So one of the ones that I do old mail because this is for your filers. You've filed these away in folders and now this stuff is ancient. It's 6 years old. It's 10 years old because you've worked there that long and you have all this stuff. Really, do you need that stuff that's that old? So I might go into old mail. And then the default is older than 1 week, but I can choose how many weeks, how many days, weeks, or months. So if this is over, let's say 15 months old, it's going to title that as over 15 months. And then I click OK. And here's all my emails that are over 15 months old. Do I really need to keep these? over a year ago, they told me my flow is not running. Okay, I obviously got buried in my inbox and I forgot about it. So I don't need all this stuff. Right away, I can delete that. I've got 45 unread items in here. Delete those. Now I have 40 unread items. Very cool. That is helpful. I can look at what's old and get rid of it. Now there are 45 more. I don't want to get rid of all of them because I use this for demo stuff, but there's, a lot of old email that maybe I don't need. And new search folder. Let's do one for my mail with attachments. Here's all my mail that had attachments. Instead of searching, and I see people do this often, they just start scrolling through their inbox, looking for the little paper clip, trying to find the item that, Nestor sent me that thing a couple weeks ago, and I can't find it anymore. So they're searching for it. And maybe Nestor wasn't the one that sent it. I'm thinking he was involved in it, but he didn't send it. So this is a great way. Now you can always add search folders to the top by adding them to your favorites. So now I can see older than email that I can say, oh, there's 45. I can just delete or go in and search or take care of them, because if they're older than 15 months, maybe I should have done it by now. So search folders, very, very helpful. Now, this is one of the features that's in Classic. It's not on the web, but from what I understand, they are working on it to bring it into the new Outlook. It's not in Outlook. So I wanted to show you those because they are supposed to be coming back. Not because that, if you go there now, you may not see them, unfortunately. A little frustrating. All right, any questions on that? All right. So follow the process of working with your email. Go in and use your tags and your flags, sort, get things out. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is create those rules. And the one thing that bums me out about the rules is that I can't show you, like, you can run the rule now. So if you're like, oh, I know I've got like 1,500 of these that have this word in the body of it, and I want to move it to a folder because it's for a project. Right, great. That going through and figure out everywhere that is going to be a little frustrating. But when you create a rule, you can actually run it manually, and then it will go and clean out your inbox, and you can delete the rules. So you can kind of use those rules to get rid of the stuff that you already need to clean out in your inbox now. What is your current, let's do it in your in the chat. What is your current number of emails in your inbox? So down here in the bottom, items, and the number of unread. So type in just the first number is your number of items. The second one is unread. This is where I would give out, if we had swag, Christian, I'd be like, this person needs a tool. 6 unread, Heather. That's awesome. Okay. Lyle's got 20,000. Yeah, we're overwhelmed, right?
Lyle has some issues.
My name is Sherry, and I'm a digital hoarder. Grace is doing good with her unreads. That's good. Bernadette. Yeah. It's a lot, right? 477. And just when I think I've got it under control, I go to bed and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh no, I got to start over again. Yeah. It's so frustrating. All right. So keep your inbox cleaned out using those options. Now, one of the ones that I was going to show you, and let me see if I can bring up OneNote. Right. This is the desktop app, but again, they are evolving these tools all the time. Any of you using OneNote?
I live in OneNote.
Yeah, I know I do too. Anybody? Okay, so let me show you the trick for archiving your emails. Number one, you have the online archive, and that will automatically archive for you. Okay, when you're based on your retention for your folders, you can automatically have it moved to the online archive. Now, why do you want to do that? Why would you get it out of your inbox? When you start searching for things, it slows it down significantly when you have that many email. Yeah, Danielle's like, OneNote is my entire brain. I 100% agree with you on that. Between that and to do, I'm like, I don't know how I manage my life. All right, so I'm going to show you, this is a OneNote notebook. You can have multiple notebooks. You can see I've got a whole bunch of them set up here, and they are they're content that we can add notebooks to. So I'm going to just add, and I wouldn't do this on your desktop, right? If you're going to create a new notebook, this is how I think of my notebooks. They're kind of like those 3-ring binders that you put on the shelf. And if the project is over, I need to refer back to the emails from that project, but do I really need to keep them in my inbox? No, because it's slowing everything else down. Every time I search for something or I use the search folders, it's going to bring that content up. And yeah, maybe that content is old, but it's part of a project that I need to keep that for. If you are having a problem with your space, you have a terabyte of space in OneDrive, but you also have pretty much unlimited space depending on what your administrators have set up in your SharePoint sites. So what are those emails for? Are they for a project, and there's a Microsoft team, aka SharePoint behind the scenes, that you can store one of these little digital 3-ring binders, print all the emails to that, and then now you have an online archive of that content. And there's some benefits to doing that versus keeping them in Outlook. All right, so I'm just going to create one on this PC. This is not what I would suggest you to do. Create it in your OneDrive or the SharePoint location. And let's say this is for the project XYZ. Right. So now I have a notebook, and I'm going to create sections for that. So these are like the dividers in the binder. You know, these are going to be my emails. These could be our meeting notes, right? So whatever it is for that project, I'm going to create the tabs. Forwarding emails to everyone else is not, and everybody keeping a copy of that for their reference is not helpful, especially if you have somebody later that comes onto the team that wasn't part of it at that time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the trick for creating, let's say I have all of these emails that were part of a project. If you select them all, under the move option, you have the option to send it to OneNote, and it's going to ask you from your open notebooks. Right now, this is on the desktop app. They are improving this for the web version. It kind of disappeared, and now we all raised a red flag, and they're like, oh yeah, I think we forgot something. Yeah, you think? Okay, it's kind of important. All right, so I'm going to use, it's going to let me pick which notebook and which tab that I want to put them in. So here's the project XYZ. Let's say I'm going to put it in my emails. I'm going to click OK, and it moves. You see how it created one page in each of those for each email. And the problem with this one is that it timestamps the page for the date that the page was created, not the date of the email. I use an add-in called Onetastic, and Onetastic has a macro that runs that updates the page for the date of the email. I wish they would do that out of the box and OneNote, but it doesn't do that. Now, why would you do that? Let me show you something else. Here are some that have attachments on them. So again, I'm going to move these and send them to OneNote. Let's do it from here. Same place. It's flagging. Here's the current section because that's where I'm at. It added some additional ones. Look at what happened with the attachments. So the attachments are now part of that email. I can open this up. I have the file that was the attachment. And here's the magic. The content in the attachments is now searchable. In Outlook, the content of the attachments is not searchable. So if I'm searching for a specific topic, like I'm looking for stuff for Darina Paschke, right? If I search for that in OneNote, I'm going to find that. And if this is stored in your Outlook or your OneDrive or SharePoint, aka Teams sites, when you search for that term, this will come up. So this email, so it's completely searchable by anyone that has permission on that notebook or where that notebook is stored. So the beautiful, beautiful thing. So anybody, yeah, mind blown. I'm with you. This right here. So Denise, you'll know Denise, Tanya. Denise was like, you just changed my whole life right here by showing her how to move the emails to OneNote. Yeah, very cool. And completely searchable. That way, I don't have to have all that content in a folder in my Outlook content. It speeds up the search for everything else. I can refer back to it anytime I need to, and anybody else that worked on that project now has access to that too, because they don't have access to my inbox. Very, very cool. Sometimes, just to keep in mind, you can also create like sub pages. So if you right click on this and make it a sub page, if this is a response to that email, maybe I will create a little hierarchy of those emails so that I can see them all. The other thing that I do in that folder to make sure they come over clean is I use the cleanup folder option. So that for that project, I'm going to use the cleanup folder. And what it does is it goes and it takes all of the redundant emails. So I send an email out to all of you. You've all responded back to me. There's, reply all, blah, blah, blah. So my original message might be in there 50 times based on how many times it kind of circled the drain. What this does is it cleans up all those redundant emails and gives you one cohesive thread for each of those messages. And then I send them to OneNote because now it's one email instead of one email thread instead of email after email after email that are related to each other. So clean up the folder. This may not clean this up, but let's see if it does it on the inbox.
Hey, Sherry, and Lyle had a good follow-up to that. Did it, when you move those over to OneNote, did it take those emails out of Outlook, or do you need to go back and delete?
You have to go back and delete them. Yeah, it doesn't get rid of them. It just creates a copy of them.
Yeah, that's one of those things. And I'll just to follow up on that too. It's Microsoft doesn't think of the liability they would take on if they allowed you to auto delete that, and then people would complain because they deleted something and blame Microsoft, even though that's the option they selected. So they've just said, we're staying out of that business. You have to manually remove those.
Yeah. So Lyle, does that help you get rid of some of your 20,000? I hope so. Okay, good. All right. Yeah. So the cleanup, I use cleanup all the time. I'm now part of, and Christian can relate to this, the MVP distribution lists. And I probably get 70 emails a day that are coming in through those distribution lists, but they're responses. So I clean that up and I kill about at least a third of those messages that I don't have to look through by using the cleanup option. There's also the lovely ignore option too. When you're playing whack-a-mole in your email box because somebody hits reply all and you delete all those, so-and-so had a baby. Oh, congratulations, reply all. How big was it? Reply all. Should we do a diaper drive? Reply. It's like, stop. I don't, not that I don't care about the baby being born, but you're blowing up my inbox. And the being able to ignore a conversation lets you kind of opt out, and they go automatically to the deleted items folder. So if you ever need to look at them, they're there, but it just basically says, yeah, I don't need all this noise in my inbox. These right here, I think these two buttons are probably the two most underused, other than reply with meeting. Those three right there are ones people don't use enough. All right. So I kind of alluded to it here. Best kept secret of tasks for Outlook. Here's the best kept secret of Outlook, period. If you have an email that you want to save from a specific person, how many of you have emails in your inbox because they are a contact that you want to keep track of and maybe use that later? Maybe look, Johanna, I'm going to keep that email from her and hit reply all, or hit reply and delete the email. Anybody done that? They recycle their emails as contacts. It's okay. I do too. All right. Here's the best kept secret. If you take any object, any item from one area of Outlook and drag it to another area of Outlook, it converts it to the destination folder type. So what I mean by that is if I take this email from Joni and I drag it over to my contacts, it converts it to a contact and it leaves the original email in the body of the contact. So I have the context of how I met her, knew her, why I kept her information. Now, it does not populate everything about her in her contact card. That comes from their server. So if they haven't put their company and their title and their phone numbers and all of that on their Active Directory that's populating this, then it won't. But let's say she put that information here, you can highlight it and drag and drop it and put it into the right folders. Or if you hold the control key, if you want to keep it in the original email, you should be able to control and drag it and move it over as well. So create a contact if you want to save it as a contact. Get rid of the email. You don't need the email. You just need the contact information. Same thing with the tasks. So if I have a long-term task that I want to track as a task and not as a to-do, that's the difference for me. When I use the categories, these are things I'm going to do today, tomorrow, this week, short term. If I have long-term things that I need to keep track of, or I need to delegate to somebody else, I'm going to drag that over to the tasks. It converts it to a task and leaves, again, the body of the email. Now I can do some scheduling around when I need to start it, when it's due, a status, a priority, and I can assign that task to somebody else. So if I want to assign this over to Nestor, guess what? It sends him a task request, and as he updates the tasks, it keeps an updated copy on my task list and sends me a status report when it's due. So, again, delegation, really cool task thing. Just drag and drop, create a task out of it, and now you can get it, out of your inbox. It does not, when I created the task from that email, it does not delete the email. So you have to go back and delete the email because I've already dealt with it. It's in my tasks. And another way to help you kind of keep your inbox clean. All right. We have about 9 minutes left. Woohoo! That was a lot. Any questions, comments, favorite things?
Yeah, please feel free. You can ask right in the chat. You can use the Q&A module as well. For those that are watching the live stream, you can ask in YouTube as well.
Am I not a fan of Outlook? Me? No, I am an Outlook, hardcore Outlook. They keep trying to take it away. Of new Outlook. Like everything else, I don't drink the Kool-Aid right away. I let somebody else find all the bugs, and I have a hesitation. I keep finding myself reverting back to the old Outlook because there's functionality missing. Like the send to OneNote was missing. The search folders was missing. Now, search folders, even if they're here, and when I create them and I switch to new Outlook, they're still not there. So yeah, there's things that are missing. So just like new teams, there's a few things that it's like they forgot. It's like, those of us that use these things, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic that they'll evolve it. It's just like the OneNote, when they tried to do the OneNote for Windows, no, it didn't do all of the stuff that I needed to do, all the capabilities. Tanya, you're not alone. She says, I really don't like the new Outlook. Like, yeah, you're not alone. I heard a lot at the M365 conference a couple weeks ago. We were there, and people aren't jumping on the bandwagon as fast as they're hoping, and they're trying to get rid of it. So the old Outlook and push you to the new. I don't know what the push is for that, but it's nice to have the opportunity. So to me, it's more like the web-based. It doesn't have all the features and functions that I need, that I use all the time, because I'm a avid Outlook user. A lot of people, all they use it for is their email. I use it. It's my brain. It tracks everything for me. All right. Heather said, I had to join late. Will we be sent a link to the recording? Yes. So I'm not sure if we're sending a link, but it's going to be on Techie Gurus. I'm sure we can send out an email. Do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I think there'll be something coming. It should be coming from like Eric Ruthroth, our chief editor, who is on vacation. So it might be a couple days.
Yeah.
But yes, but everyone will get sent a link. You'll be able to, and then you'll be able to find it. Just follow the same link to the registration, that page. That'll be where you can point people toward as well.
Okay. All right. Naveen says, sometimes I can't open the email file after downloading. Are you talking about attachments? Email file. Oh, to the local desktop. Yeah, that's when you're talking, like if I were to save this as an item, you can take, I don't know what's doing those. Every time I right click on it, it's bringing up that weird box. When you save the actual file, yeah, because it could be because on your desktop, you have to designate the application that the file that has the EML extension opens. So you have to look at your default applications and see if that's been designated. I don't know what the error is that you get, that it can't open it, but that could be why. Because you're like when you double click on a PDF, it knows to either open it in Acrobat if you Adobe Acrobat if you have that, or in a browser if you don't. You have to designate what those different file extensions, which application opens those. And yours may not have that. All right. You don't have permissions to open it is the error. Interesting. Yeah, I would check with your help desk and see why. Unfortunately, I can't troubleshoot that. It could be many things. Permissions is always a problem, right? Right. Marina says the link above to the previous recording is bringing us to the registration page. Do we need to register again to see the recording? I believe, yeah.
You have to be logged in to be able to see it. So yeah, I mean, registration for Techie Guru's site is free. And once you're in there, then you'll have access to all of the archive and every webinar. Right now it's a bit, it's not a great navigation. You have to go to the About tab up in the top to see the webinars. There's a redesign of the front page that's going to happen, and that change to all of those things. I think we didn't add a tab initially because we didn't have a lot of webinars, but now that we have more past recordings, thank you, Sherry.
Yes.
We need to move it up to to the top nav there, but that's how you find it.
Yeah, and so that's registering on Techie Gurus. You only have to do that once.
Right.
And you won't have to register for every webinar.
And we only send out newsletters a couple times a month, so it's not, we don't sell any of your information, but we are adding more rich content that will be exclusive to registered members. So more recordings, more extended video content. There's a lot more that's coming this year.
Yeah. Benefits to being registered there. Hopefully that answers that question. Any other questions or favorite things? Let's end with that. What were your favorite things? Aha moments. I'm so doing that today. Vicki said, if you move an email to a folder on your desktop and no longer have access to that email, does that mean you just don't have access to that email anymore? Possibly, because it depends on how you moved it. If it's a PST file, I don't know how it got moved to your desktop. That's the problem. But if you took an email and kind of drag it out and put it on your desktop, it becomes like a little mail icon.
That's a great reason for using the OneNote.
Yeah.
For that exact reason. That's what I used to do, that specifically for projects. So make it really easy, keep it all that archive in one place. Yeah, I mean, you can have archive in a lot of different places. It just depends on your style, but yeah, that specific scenario is a great reason for taking special emails and moving to OneNote.
Yeah. If I've moved it to a folder, it's for a specific context or purpose, either to like the webinar, so it self cleans, or it's for a project. And then I could just take that whole project and archive the whole thing and into OneNote and tuck it away. I don't have to go look at that anymore. And putting it in again, either if it's something that I did, it's for OneNote or OneDrive. And then if it's for the team or the group or project or whatever, I'm going to put it in the project site where all that content's stored. I always, on my project sites, I don't really like where they put the OneNote notebook because they hid it in the site assets library. I always create a new document library that's called notebooks. And I put everything, all the notebooks in that one place. Unless the permissions are different. You don't want certain people in that have permission to the site not to see those notebooks, but just keep in mind in SharePoint, you can create as many document libraries as you want. And I'm sure there's a limit somewhere. It's going to come down to size, but make sure that the permissions are correct. And for me, they're in general, everybody on the project has access to everything. I'm creating a notebook library, and even if there's only one notebook in there. I don't like that they put it in the site assets. I don't understand why they did that.
We are at time, but Lyle had one last question. He says he's been using the new Outlook, so will I need to convert back to the original Outlook to use the send to OneNote feature?
My understanding is it was supposed to be back, and I saw that through those emails that it was back for some people. So if you don't see it, then yes, you have to switch. So up in the upper right-hand corner, it says try the new Outlook, and it should say you can toggle that on and off, and it'll take you back, and it'll ask you why. And that's really good feedback. I'm moving back because the send to OneNote button's not there.
Please share that feedback.
Yes,
Microsoft needs to hear this from people.
Yes.
Right.
I got a request yesterday of, the Excel. It's like, why are you reverting back to, the different versions of Excel? And I said, that's really good for them to know why you aren't adopting the tools that they're providing. They need to know that.
They definitely need.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And once again, if you've not already done so, I mean, you registered for this webinar. For those that are there, for those that are watching on the live stream, please go register at techiegurus.com and get access to all of this stuff. And oh, yeah, you got to do your final pitch here.
Oh, so if you want to have our 30 days of Powerbytes learning, feel free to use the little URL there. I'll put that in the chat. Or you can use the QR code and I will send you, it's bite-sized learning on all of Office 365. So.
And then I'm sure Sherry and I will be back probably next month with another webinar, doing this all over again. Maybe yeah. I need to do one of these, Sherry, and have you moderate.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I do that.
We can do something.
Yeah, and taking suggestions. If there's anything that you would like to have us do a webinar, let me know, because we're always like, I think people would like this, and 2 people sign up, like, okay, well, people didn't like that. So it's always good to hear.
Sherry, I saw questions this morning. I think we've been talking for a couple of years now about doing a Microsoft 365 calendaring, so the calendar options across all products, creating a calendar, sharing a calendar, getting a group calendar, a room calendar, kind of all the calendar options. Maybe we need to do a webinar and kind of give our top 10 favorite calendaring or most important calendaring or something.
I like calendars. That's a good idea.
So
keeping it, we did the email. Now we got to keep our scheduling straight, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's funny doing the AMAs. If you're not familiar with the M365 AMAs that we do, and Sherry's in a ton of those, I run those. They're over on buckleyplanet.com on my blog. You can always tell it has the blue background on that, but one of the most common themes of questions is about calendars. So we're always trying to answer those questions, but there needs to be a definitive guide, we think, to all things calendars in M365.
So it's M365 AMA is the hashtag, right?
Yeah, I'm putting it in.
And I put it in a chat.
Yeah, I'm putting it in series on, and I'll put it a pitch for my blog there, but you can find them all there, and they're out on YouTube as well. So
Yeah. If you send me the questions too, we can always add, it's like, here's for the AMA, because I have a lot of really smart friends, and Christian has a lot of the same really smart friends that we can ask questions if we don't know the answers to them.
Yep.
All
Well,
right.
thanks so much, everybody. And let's get back into our day. Thanks a lot, Sherry.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.